Anybody would type something? Am I waiting for something, guys? Someone will type something here. What about the shapes of the offspring in sexual and asexual reproduction? The question says, what are the differences between them, between the sexual and asexual? We mentioned sexual involves two parents, asexual involves only one parent. The sexual is simple, while the asexual is simple, while sexual is complicated. So in sexual, new answers have come here. I've arrived here. In sexual, other offspring will half of his mother genes and half of from his father genes. Yes. So inherits, we can say inherits. In sexual reproduction, offspring will inherit half of their genetic material from one parent and the other half from the other parent. They will be not like any one of them. They will be a combination of them, a collection of them. So in sexual reproduction, the shape of the offspring will combine some characteristic from parents and some characteristic from male parent and some from the female parent. We have only two of the students answer. How many students we have here in the session? We have 14 students right now. Why don't have all of you answer? So while we are receiving this answer, I will type our objective for this lesson today. Inherit half of his mom and half of his dad. I'm talking about the shape, yes. The shape in the sexual will be different from either parent. It will look like neither of his parent. It will be combination of them, a collection of them. But in asexual, it will be identical to the parent, to one parent. So our lesson today, compare, we just take part of it, compare between sexual and asexual reproduction. Yes, Ahmed Abdurazak will talk from dad and half, yes, half from dad and half from mom. The mean sexual offspring will look like the parent. Yes, exactly like the parent. Compare between sexual and asexual reproduction. This is our objective for today. Okay, guys, this is our objective for today. This is one. And the other one says, describe some types of asexual reproduction. Describe some types of asexual reproduction. These are the two objectives of our lesson today. And I'll pick someone. Turk Dihilan, are you with us? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Read these two. This one and this one. Read them.
Compare between sexual and asexual reproduction.
Good.
Describe some types of asexual reproduction.
So that's it. Compare between sexual and asexual reproduction and describe some types of asexual reproduction. These are the two objectives. We already compared between sexual and asexual. We will read a little bit about them. And right now, describe some types of asexual reproduction. Let's go and watch this video about reproduction, patterns of reproduction.
When I was 6 years old, I went through a phase where I was really into plants. My sister never really went through a plant phase, although to be fair, she was also 2 years old at the time, so she was kind of into everything. I wanted to have a lot of plants where I could water them and take care of them, but my plant caring skills were not so great, so only some plants were safe. A cactus, perhaps. But you get sick of cacti. One day it so happened my dad brought home a spider plant And as usual, the way I imagined a spider plant turned out to not exactly be what a spider plant was, but I was also very happy it wasn't a cactus. Take really good care of this spider plant and it will have little baby plants, my dad said. Then you can plant the plantlets and they'll grow into new spider plants too. It'll be fun, he said. Now let's just say I think my dad may have underestimated my dedication with this. Spider plants reproduce by making new identical baby spider plantlets. The baby plants are genetically identical to the parent.
So spider plant have the ability to reproduce asexually. Spider plant will make new plantlets, small plants that are identical to the parent, exactly DNA, exactly genetic material like the parent. So spider plant has a property of asexual. We will see later that he has another way for reproduction.
Parent plant, meaning they contain the same DNA, a clone basically. You can plant the plantlets and ta-da, new spider plant. As a kid, I didn't realize that what I was seeing at the time was asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction requires only one.
A means here in sexual without. A means without sexual. So the A means without. A in asexual means without or not sexual. Without or not sexual. This is the meaning of A in asexual.
Organism and results in offspring that are genetically identical, uniform, no genetic variety. And many times there can be an advantage that this can.
She's talking about disadvantage of asexual. There is no genetic variety. They are exactly the same like the parents, exactly the same. Nothing is different. Okay, guys? So in the sexual reproduction, there is disadvantage, a great disadvantage that all the offspring will be identical and there is no genetic diversity. And genetic diversity is so important in sometimes, as we will see.
Be efficient and fast since only one organism is involved. Asexual.
So it's fast, as Abdurrahman said. I think Abdurrahman Haji said that. And Tamim said that. Tamim Nashmi said that it's fast. Yes, asexual reproduction is fast and simple.
Reproduction also occurs with very simple organisms, like bacteria. These prokaryotes literally split into two in a process known as binary fission.
So she started talking about other type. We talk a spider plant, which is reproduced asexually. And also another type is bacteria or prokaryote. Bacteria is a prokaryote. It doesn't have a nucleus. That reproduced by a process called binary fission. Binary fission is a process of asexual reproduction. Let's listen to it again.
Like bacteria. These prokaryotes literally split into two in a process known as binary fission. Many single-celled eukaryotic organisms, like many protists, can do this.
Many protists, like Euglena, can reproduce by binary fission. Okay, so this is a type, or a binary fission is another type of asexual reproduction, or one type of asexual reproduction that happens in prokaryote and eukaryote, but it happens within unicelled organisms or simple organisms, microorganisms.
Two. Another type of asexual reproduction that starts with B is budding. A very small, amazing animal called the hydra can reproduce by budding. That means they literally just bud an identical offspring.
Another type, binary fission, and the second type is called budding. It will bud here a new part from the body of the plant. This is hydra plant, a plant that lives in the sea. It will bud a new plant and eventually it will have a new hydra, exactly like the parent.
Spring right off of themselves. It falls off and grows into a new hydra. So in the spider plant example, this was asexual reproduction. But it's important to realize that not all plants can reproduce asexually. In fact, spider plants themselves can reproduce another way. Spider plants and many other plants can undergo sexual reproduction.
So she's going to talk here about sexual reproduction in this part. But before I go to this part, we have mentioned two types of asexual reproduction, binary fission, and the other type is called budding, like hydra. Budding like hydra. One more type, we call it fragmentation. We'll talk about it in the book or when we read the book. So we have mentioned here three types. Binary fission, like in bacteria, and some protists, like Euglena. Another type is called budding, like hydra, and another type is called fragmentation, as we will see it later in C star. So these were types of asexual reproduction. Right now, we are going to talk about sexual reproduction. You remember spider plant that we started our talk about it? It reproduces asexually and also has the ability to reproduce sexually. It can reproduce by either way, sexually or asexually. So this advantage for this plant. It can reproduce by two different ways. Also, strawberries, we talked about it yesterday. Strawberries have the ability to reproduce asexually and sexually, like spider plant.
In fact, lots of organisms can. Some fungi and some protists, many plants, many animals. Sexual reproduction involves.
So here we're talking about sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction happen in some fungi, a lot of fungi, a lot of protists, a lot of plants, a lot of what? A lot of animals. Okay, some fungi, some protists, many plants, many animals. So some of this, not all of this, some of this, not all of this, protists, some of fungi, most of the plants, most of the animals that reproduce sexually.
Involves the uniting of gametes, which are reproductive cells.
Understand the word gamete. Gametes equal reproductive cells or sexual cells. So the male cell, male sex cell, and the female sex cell, we call it reproductive cells or sex cells. And this word equal to gametes. They are equal to what? The gametes. So when I say gamete, I mean male sex cell, and another gamete will be female sex cell, male and female. They will combine together to form zygote or new fertilized.
Make a new organism. If you're talking about animals, typically these gametes would be known as a sperm cell from the male organism and an egg cell from the female organism.
If we're talking about generally animals, even humans, the male sex cell or male gamete is called sperm, and the female gamete is called egg. Again, the male gamete or male sex cell from the man or from the male animal is called sperm. The female sex cell or female gamete, which comes from the female animal, is called an egg. Sperm, egg. Those are called gametes or sex cell or reproductive cell, all the same meaning. One from male, the second from female.
Gametes typically have half the number of chromosomes as a somatic cell.
And this is important. We have here the sperm has N and the egg has N, number of chromosomes. The fertilized egg or zygote will have 2N. So the somatic cell in our body, for example, will have double of chromosomes as sperm and as egg. So that happens in the sex cell. We can say generally the six cells, sperms and egg, have half of chromosomes as the somatic cells in a somatic cell. And by somatic cells, I mean your hair cells, your eye cells, skin cells, liver cells. All your body is somatic cells except for the sex cells, except for sex cells, which is sperm in male and egg female. They have only half of chromosomes. We represent half by N and the full genetic material by 2N. So half by N. So the sperm will have N, the egg will have another N. When they combine together, they will form a somatic cell or fertilized egg zygote, which has 2N.
In humans, sperm and egg cells each have 23 chromosomes. When they combine, they can produce.
So in the sperm, it has 23 in the male. This is in humans. Female egg form 23. They will combine together in the zygote or fertilized egg, which will have, let's see,
Produce a new cell, a
46 chromosomes. This is called zygote or fertilized egg. It's produced from fertilizing an egg with a sperm. They will combine together 23 plus 23 equal 46. So all of your cells has 46 chromosomes, except for sex cells, they have only half of these chromosomes, which we call it N. So N plus N give us 2N. 23 plus 23 give us 46 in fertilized egg. This happens in all types of sexual reproduction, not only in humans. But in humans, they have only, this is number 23. This is specific for human, not any other organism.
fertilized egg known as a zygote, which would then have 46 chromosomes. This fertilized egg can continue to divide to make more cells and more cells. Oh, look, this fertilized human egg cell is a blastocyst now. Yeah, it'll keep dividing from there. Now, while that was an example of gametes uniting to make a new human, realize that all new organisms that result from sexual reproduction have the potential to be genetically diverse.
So, adverse or diverse, okay? they have the ability or the advantage of diversity. They will be different from parents, male or female, and they also have a lot of other processes like crossing over that will make them more diverse than parents. So they can adapt to new circumstances in the environment. This diversity make them adapt. Let's see how this happens.
In sexual reproduction, the offspring are not clones. They receive genetic information from their two different parents. And gametes themselves tend to be different from each other due to independent assortment and crossing over, which both happen when the gametes are made in a process called meiosis. Check out our meiosis video for more about that. So the gametes are different from each other and they combine to make a unique organism. Now, sexual reproduction can be more time consuming because it does require two gametes finding each other and uniting. A little more complicated than asexual reproduction when, in many cases, you can just split. So then what is the benefit in sexual reproduction and why could this even matter? Well, different genes can mean different expressed traits, and different expressed traits could be beneficial in the case of environmental changes. Let's consider these grasshoppers. Let's say the vegetation present changes due to a dry season, and now some colors of grasshoppers have better advantages than others in blending in, which means perhaps better advantages from hiding from predators.
So all of these are grasshopper, but some of them, they have genetic diversity according to sexual reproduction. They have genetic diversity according to the sexual reproduction. Some of them are brown and some of them are green. According to change in the environment become brown. So these brown grasshoppers have an advantage to live in such and hide from the predators in such environment. So the diversity could be an advantage to adapt. That is the meaning of this.
Toppers with the advantage potentially could have higher fitness. But see, that variation is present in the first place because of sexual reproduction. There are definite benefits that come with variety. Well, that's it for the Meet the Sisters.
So in this video, we covered the asexual and sexual reproduction and some types of sexual reproduction and some differences between them. Let's go to our book and start reading about this. We will have this question first. Let me pick someone to answer. Ahmed Abdel Razak. Yeah, Ahmed.
Yes, teacher.
Yeah, Ahmed. Okay, Ahmed. Read this question.
The picture shows offspring with their mothers. Circle the offspring you think might look like the father.
So this all pictures, the cat babies and their mom, the rat babies and their mom, and this babies, I don't know what are these, and their mom. So we have mom here. We circle the offspring you think might look like father. Let's see the cat babies. This is mom. Which one of these babies you might think look like the parent, the male parent, the father?
I think the one in the middle.
This one, this one in the middle,
No, at the right.
this one.
Yes, one which is looking at the camera.
Yes, all of them are looking to the camera, by the way. But
Teacher,
yes, this one
Yes.
is much
Yes.
closer to the future mic.
That's what I wanted.
Yes, mute your mic, so I can talk. So we don't see the parent in the picture, but the parent will be represented by the one that is far away from the mother. Okay, so if you look to this black one, what do you think?
Mr.
Is it
The
black?
cat is the parent because the kittens inherited the eyes.
Yes, all of the eyes, bravo, all of the eyes are blue. So the eyes come from parent. But I'm talking about the fur. You see the fur here is black and the mother is not black. And all of the kittens here, all of the baby cats, they have black in their fur. So I can expect that the father is what? Is black. Black and the gray can give you this diversity, or even this one. It could be like this one. It's right too, not false. Okay, guys. But what I want to say, this black here does not exist in the mother. So this black come from what? Come from father. So the father could be this one, or this one, which have a black that emerges from them. Okay, or even this one. But I think that this black, totally black one could be the father. This is one probability, could be high. All probabilities exist, but this one is high. طيب, let's talk about rat here. Let's talk about rats. Ahmed Al-Atabi.
Yes, mister.
This is, we have rat mother and babies, offspring rats, baby rats. Okay. So this is the mother fur, and this is the babies. What do you think the fur of the father rat?
Black.
Black, yes, because this is black for sure.
No.
It doesn't come from this mom. It comes from what? From the father. So we can expect that the father is black. And same applies for this picture. So what we want from this picture, who can tell me what we want to say from this picture, guys? What's this main idea of this picture? Yes, go ahead.
Can answer that you inherit some from your dad and some from your mom.
Bravo. In sexual reproduction, we inherit some properties of male parent and some from female parent. Very good. Who was answering?
عبد الرحمن ملحم.
عبد الرحمن. برافو عبد الرحمن. طيب. عبد الله الحسيني, do you hear me?
Yeah, mister.
I want you to start read, Abdullah.
Okay.
Read this one. Asexual reproduction.
Asexual and reproduction. Living things reproduce giraffes and make more giraffes. Hermit crab make more hermit crab and
Crabs.
blood grapes and blood
Bald
make
eagles.
bald ageless
Eagles. Bald
eagles
eagles make more bald eagles.
bald eagles. Some
Not eagles.
animal-
Eagles, not eagles.
eagles eagles. Some animals produce hermit
Produce offspring. No, no, produce offspring.
spring that look exactly like the parent.
Yes.
Others, such as humans and the animals in Figure 1, produce offspring that look different from the parent.
Okay, thank you. No, no, that's enough. So here talking about the types of reproductions, sexual and asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduce offspring that identical to the parent. Sexual will produce offspring that is different from the parent. Again, asexual produce offspring, and offspring means babies. Okay. So asexual will produce offspring that are identical to the one parent, because it includes only one parent. Sexual reproduction will produce offspring that are different from the parent. Let's pick another one to read. Abdulaziz Badr Nasser. Abdulaziz Badr.
Mister, can I read Ibrahim Rabi'?
Ibrahim Rabi'. You want to read Ibrahim? Ibrahim Rabi', read it.
Okay.
This is part. Animals.
Animals use one of the two main methods. Asexual methods. Asexual or sexual reproduction to produce offspring. Reproduction that a species
No, guarantees. Reproduction guarantees that
guarantee the species genes are passed on to the next generation.
So stupid. That's very good. Thank you. That's good. So asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction, these are the two types. Both of them guarantees that the species genes are passed or genetic materials will passed on to the next generation. They pass genes. Okay. Each species will pass its genes to the next generation. Thank you, Ibrahim Rabia. Faisal. Faisal.
Yes.
I want you to read asexual reproduction here.
A reproductive process that involves only the parent and produces offspring that are genetically identical to the parent is called
Asexual. And
asexual.
a means here not sexual or without sexual. Asexual. Asexual reproduction. The opposite of sexual means then. Complete reading.
It is simplest form of reproduction. Animals such as sponges, corals, and certain jellyfish reproduce asexually.
Yes. So this is the definition of asexual reproduction. Let's listen to it.
Asexual reproduction. A reproductive process that involves only one parent and produces offspring that are genetically identical to the parent.
So a reproductive process, simplest form of reproduction that involves only one parent. It involves only one parent and produces offspring that are genetically identical to the parent, such as sponge and corals and certain jellyfish reproduce asexually, and also hydra reproduce asexually, and the bacteria and euglena, unicelled organisms, a lot of unicelled organisms reproduce asexually. Some plants reproduce asexually, like spider plant, like strawberries. All of these are types of animals that reproduce, or types of, sorry, organisms that reproduce asexually. One example of animals, sponge, corals, jellyfish, hydra, all this reproduce asexually. Plants like spider plant, like strawberries, reproduce asexually. Also bacteria and euglena or some protists reproduce asexually. All of these are examples of sexual reproduction. Last part.
Teacher, can I read?
Yeah. Who are you?
Abdurrahman Malhan.
Okay, Abdurrahman, let me click your name. And after this, I'll come to the next one. Read, Abdurrahman.
Okay. One form of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. During
Fragmentation.
fragmentation,
No.
a
Fragmentation.
fragmentation,
No. Fragmentation.
fragmentation, a new organism forms from a piece of the original. For example, a whole new sea star can develop from a single arm that breaks off. Another method of asexual reproduction is called budding. In this progress, a new animal grows out of the parent until it fully matures and breaks off. Sponges and some sea animals reproduce in this way.
So, budding like sponge. Mute your mic, Abdurrahman, I can't talk. Okay. We mentioned here two types of asexual reproduction. We take three types actually, beside this one. Number one is binary fission. Binary fission is one type, like bacteria and euglena. And the next type is called budding, like hydra and sponges and sea anemones. Okay. So these are types of animals that reproduce by budding. Fragmentation, like sea star. Sea star, you know it by only one arm, it can reproduce and form a complete sea star. Let me show that to you. We have it here, C star. If we take this example to show to you, if we cut this one, let me, you see, this is a complete C star. If we cut it here from the middle with one arm or two arm, each one will grow to form, anyone you cut it, this one will grow to form a complete C star, and this one will complete to form a complete C star. Okay, this new C stars is identically to the parent, identical to the parent. Not two arm, maybe one arm with part of the disc here will form a complete C star. This process is a sexual reproduction. We call it fragmentation. We call it what? Fragmentation. So let's come back here. So this is fragmentation and also budding. Fragmentation happens in the C star, and the budding happens in sponges and some animals, sea animals like hydra. This reproduced by budding. We have one question to read it. I'll go back to Dawood. Dawood is here. Dawood, Salman, Dawood. علي متعب القناص. علي متعب القناص. خالد العيسى. معن البشري.
Yes.
Okay, man. I want you to read. But you didn't answer me, Khalid. Okay. Ma'an, read this question.
What do you think? What do you think is the benefit of reproducing sexually? Explain how asexual reproduction could give some animals an advantage.
So we have two questions. You can answer the first question only. What do you think is the benefit of reproducing asexually? What is the benefit of reproducing asexually?
Tia, can I answer?
Ma'an will answer. What is the benefit of asexual reproduction? What happens in sexual reproduction? If you don't know what is the benefit or not, so you can mention what happens. What happens in sexual reproduction? And this would be a benefit. Huh? You don't think about benefit. Think about what happens and mention it.
I forgot, teacher.
Asexual reproduction, Abdurrahman. What happens in asexual reproduction, like fragmentation and budding? We produce new offspring that are at what?
Yeah. Basically a clone of the mother, and the benefit of sexually is it's faster, it's more simpler than sexually.
Yes, that's the benefits. Very good. Abdurrahman was talking? Yes, thank you, Abdurrahman. Yes, Abdurrahman. Great, Abdurrahman. Very good. So they produce new offspring that are identical to the parent, and it happens faster and simple form of reproduction. Fast one and simple one. These are the benefits of asexual reproduction. They produce new offspring that are identical to the parent, and also to have the fast and simple way for reproduction. Type explain how asexual reproduction could give some animals an advantage. Okay, we said that because it happens fast and quick. So let's give you the quiz right now because we have only 5 minutes.
Send the link, please.
I'm sending it. Wait.
Okay.
This is the link. And that is the pen for those who want the pen. Quickly join, guys. Quickly join the quiz. So I want you to finish the quiz right now while I'm taking the absence.
Mister,
Khalid
can you
Isa.
send it again?
Hmm?
Can you send it again?
Yes, I can. Sure. If you found some question you don't know it, you can repeat the quiz and have the full mark, guys. Because we didn't finish the lesson, you may find some questions that we didn't come to it. So if you make a mistake, you can repeat the whole quiz after finishing the quiz. Dawood absent. I will call the absent people. Ali Mit'ab al-Gannas absent. Abdulaziz Badr al-Nasser absent. Let's call for some other people. Muhammad Abdullah Salim. Muhammad Abdullah Salim al-Abboud. Here or not?
Here.
Muhammad Yasir.
Here, Mister.
Okay. Saad Muhammad Saad.
Here, Mister.
Salman Muhammad Musa al-Isa.
Here.
Tamim. Here.
I'm here.
Okay. Turkey.
Yes.
Abdullah Nasir Abdullah al-Milh.
Yes.
Layth.
Yes.
Okay. So the absent people are Dawood, Ali Mit'ab al-Gannas, and Abdulaziz Badr. So 3 out of 19, we have 16. We're supposed to have 16.
Al-Gannas, did you put me absent?
Yes. So became 17. Yes. Okay. Right now you're not absent.
Mister, I don't have the chat. I can't see the link.